Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Open Diner. The topic tonight is the importance of friends, and some of us know just how important friends are. And the hosts tonight are myself. I'm Linda, and I live in upstate New York. And Rono is the other host with me tonight.
Yeah, I'm joining from Rotterdam in the Netherlands.
Yeah. So, friendship. Friendship is one of the most meaningful connections we can experience in life. It goes beyond shared interests or casual company. True friendship offers support, trust, and a sense of belonging. In this discussion, we'll explore what makes a friendship genuine, how it shapes who we are, and why it remains so essential across all stages of life. A few reminders here. We're trying to create a supportive environment where we connect above any differences. Please stay on topic, no criticism, avoid politics. Remember to mute your microphone when not speaking to minimize background noise. And if you can turn your cameras on, which I see everybody's got their cameras on, that's great. Please remember to keep your answers brief so everyone gets a chance to speak. And now Rono with the icebreaker.
Okay, right. An icebreaker simply allows us to get to know each other, for especially for the new ones. You start with your name, where you're joining us from, and then you answer the following question. If you could plug one TV or movie character into real life to be your best friend, who is joining your group chat immediately? Again, if you could plug one TV or movie character into real life to be your best friend, who's joining your group chat immediately? And just in short, tell us why. All right, we're going popcorn style. Whenever you feel you just there's a bit of silence, go jump in.
I'll go. Hi, everyone. My name is Jill. I'm from New Jersey. And I really can only pick one character because, the show Friends has six of them. And I got to pick the Friends. I got to pick the Friends. So I love Friends. I want to go to Central Perk and chat with, I don't even drink coffee, but I want to go and have coffee with the Friends anyway.
I think I'm Susie, and I'm from the rainforest in the Big Island of Hawaii. And I think if I could only pick one, first I was going to pick one of the superheroes, um, but I think it would be My Fair Lady because she's got it all. She's humble, simple, but she gains. She's gorgeous, and that's one of my favorite movies. If I got a second choice, it would be Happy Feet because I could dance and sing and yeah. Okay, cool.
I'm Roberta from Long Island, New York. It's so difficult to think of one. I was gonna say Jesus, because he would always have, wine and stuff like that and fix things. But I would think probably, I guess, like Superman. I'm gonna go with a superhero, which could be Jesus too, but superhero, like Glenn, if you got in any trouble, you'd always be safe. That's my thought.
Well, I have to pick a superhero too, and I pick Wonder Woman because I've always I've always looked up to Wonder Woman from when I was a kid and I read, the comic books and now in the movies and all, um, because she's she's got superpowers and she could save me.
And Linda, she's hot, I dress as Wonder Woman on Halloween every time I can. I've got over the knee red boots. I've got a little blue mini skirt. I mean, yeah, superheroes, definitely.
Hi, I'm Raya. I'm calling in from Boston, and I'm having a hard time remembering my character's name, but it's the like best friend character in Labyrinth who's like very warm, lovable, and trustworthy.
I'm Alisa from Brooklyn, New York, and yeah, like you just said, I have trouble picking up exactly the one, and for some reason, from the very beginning of this question, I am thinking about Simpson, of the, cartoon character, but he is so gentle and humble, and so many funny things happening with him. So I would have him as my friend, and I'm sure he will join any group I am in immediately.
Hi, I'm Nancy, and I live in a suburb of Chicago, in Illinois. And I'm going to pick the nanny, Fran from the nanny, because, well, okay, I'm nowhere near as good looking as she is, obviously, and those clothes, but I relate to her in a lot of ways. I'm kind of clumsy, and I can understand how she wouldn't. I mean, actually, she's a lot like that My Fair Lady character, isn't she? Especially when they do that one episode about it. I just love it. And I love how she stands up for the kids. And also when she decides not to try to be like everyone else, but just be herself. And the way she's always looking for a husband. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm like that exactly, but I always did wish I'd gotten married. So I really relate to her and I just love her. She's hysterical. She makes the craziness of life seem funny instead of tragic.
Rona, you're the only one left.
Yeah, I was looking at the seriousness of the trend there. Superheroes, okay. I like Nancy's choice, like someone funny. Me, I think, we have a tendency to take life too seriously, and we miss out on the fun things on it. I think Bugs Bunny would be my best friend. All right, let's talk about the rules of the round table, which is the rules by which we, you know, uh, follow our discussions. So we're going to have a short introductory clip, please, just to tell you about the rules. Pay attention, it's very short, so it's gonna zip by quick, and then after that we'll have a video clip that will jumpstart our discussion. So let's go.
The rules of the round table. Around the table, no one is more important or less important. Everyone is equal and very important. We don't reject opinions or negate, but only collaborate. The real solution won't come from knowledge or verbal perfection, but only from our connection.
Okay, we're going to watch a video right now about friendship and what friendship means to people. And how it affects your life.
I've become completely obsessed with the concept of friendship. I mean, there's an entire industry to help us be better leaders. There's an entire industry to help us be better parents. There's an entire industry to teach us how to eat better, how to exercise better. And yet there's nothing to help us be better friends. And if you think about it, all of the challenges that we're facing today, mental health challenges, rising rates of depression, anxiety, inability to cope with stress, even the obsession with longevity, friendship fixes all of those things. Friendship is the ultimate biohack. And if you ask most people, are you a good friend? Most people think they are. But you start to peel back the onion just a little bit, right? Would you cancel on a friend for a meeting? Or would you cancel on a meeting for a friend? Oh, but my friend would understand, right? Or if you look at the best relationships, right? The best romantic relationships and marriages, the couples that you're like, that's the kind of relationship I want. If you ask them, how do you do it? They all say the same thing, which is, it's a lot of work, and we put the effort in and do the work. When was the last time anybody ever said, I put the effort in and do the hard work for my friends? And this is why I've become so obsessed with friendship. I don't think most of us actually aren't good friends. And I think the reward that we get from working hard to be a good friend is not only good for the person with whom we are friends, but the intense reward of working hard for another human being, it pays back in dividends of mental health, the feeling of that you're never alone. Most of our understanding of addiction and how addiction works comes from an experiment was done back in the 50s or 60s, where they took a rat, they put it in a cage, and they gave it plain water, and they gave it drug-laced water. And the rat drank both, liked the drug water, became addicted to the drug water, and eventually died, right? A guy by the name of Bruce Alexander, pretty recently, said that the experiment was flawed. He said, because rats, like us, are social animals. And if you put a social animal by itself and make it lonely, yeah, it's going to get addicted. And so he recreated the experiment more true to life. He built something called Rat Park, where he put lots of rats and mazes and wheels, and they were having babies and community and friends. And he put two waters, a plain one and a drug-laced one. And they all tried both, and they tried enough of the drug-laced one to become addicted, and yet they can see from the data that the amount of drug-laced water that they took went into steady decline, and they actually didn't drink it anymore. They only drank the plain water, which shows evidence that when we have close friendships and when we have relationships, it actually reduces our chances of becoming addicted to anything. And now we look at social media addiction, and yes, social media and cell phones are dopamine-producing devices. They are absolutely dangerous. However, it gives evidence that if we practice and work on our ability to become friends, that if we teach our children how to be friends, taking all of the kids' phones away when they come over for play dates, that the chances that they will become addicted to anything, including social media, will actually go down.
All right. So the first question on that video is, did someone teach you how to be a friend when you were growing up? Did one of your parents teach you how to be a friend, or did a friend teach you how to be a friend? What do you think?
Well, my mic was open, so I probably will start. No, no one taught me to be a friend, but I have to tell you that one lesson I got, which I didn't understand that it was a lesson, and quite a number of years passed, quite a number. I realized what the lesson was, that we moved to a different apartment, and I met my friend, who is my friend, since childhood. I was 7 years old, I think. She already had a very close friend. And once we were three of us playing, and all of a sudden, my new friend, grandmother, came in and told me that don't do it anymore ever. But she didn't explain what did I do wrong. And only after so many, years and mistakes and everything, I realized what I did. I wanted to break their friendship and grab my new friend and be my friend, And that is something I think we have to be taught, never do, never, ever, do that.
I could add that who taught me how to be a friend were my parents, honestly, because I knew how I was treated, how I wanted to be treated. I knew how they took care of me. And so when I was with other people, and my sister, obviously, well, obviously you don't know who I am, but I have a sister who's 2 years older than me, and we spent a lot of time together. I think I can honestly say, family taught me how to be a good friend because I was treated well, luckily, thank God.
I
Uh,
taught myself how to be a good friend. I grew up in a very narcissistic household, and I've had, unfortunately, a lot of narcissistic friends throughout my life. I'm starting fresh now, and honestly, I'm here. I do want friendships, but I'm not desperate. I am so like, I almost feel like I don't want to feel like I don't need them. That's basically it. Like, I almost need encouragement because I have met other people and I know how to be a good friend. I know I'm a good person, but unfortunately, not everyone else wants to grow. Not everybody else has emotional maturity. So I'm starting fresh. I'm starting fresh, and I have made some friends, and they're a little casual because they're not. I have not found much depth. I feel like I'm looking for depth when I'm talking to people, and so I wind up in the shallow end of a kiddie pool sometimes with their depth. And I'm not complaining. I'm just, I'm being honest. I've sugarcoated things long enough for other people's sake. I'm just going to be real. And a lot of people don't cut the mustard. It's not going to stop me from trying. And I also realize not everyone's meant to be in my life forever. It's okay if some people are here and there. And you know what? Detachment has really just saved me with a lot of this.
wow, this is such a good subject. I loved what Jill said. And it's kind of like what Roberta said. I had to go exactly opposite because my family taught me what a friend was not. There was all this betrayal, and so you kind of like you say even I went back on our first question. I thought if I had a week to think about all the movies and stuff, because a friend is really a deep thing, and I haven't had many. I That's why I love open diners, because I have been able to open and connect with you guys, and there's this deep friendship. And I think we're all kind of like Jill said, we're learning what we want. And I did have this a couple of weeks ago. I had this experience where I I said, "Wow, I've got to be my best friend." And so that when I'm my best friend, I can resonate with people that are on this frequency, like Jill said, on a frequency that your heart's going to get met. So it behooves us to be integral and open and honest and brave, and then just keep trying, because this is a deep subject. And look what COVID did to us. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh my God, I don't have friends anymore. I don't." And so I love this subject. What is a friend?
Well, like Susie, a lot of my family taught me how not to be a friend. they, there are a lot of backstabbers, and even even my mother didn't have many friends. She just was not a nice person. And my cousins, I had a lot of cousins. When I was little, we were close. And then as we grew up, they became, I don't know, frenemies. I don't even bother with most. I have a lot of cousins, and I don't even bother with any of them because I don't want to be like them. I don't want to hang around with them. But I have a handful of friends, good friends, that I cherish because I know how to be a friend and how not to be a friend.
I'm kind of like you and Susie and even Alyssa a little bit. I wasn't really taught how to be a friend, but my mother would teach me what I would do wrong. She knew I was trying to get friends, but first of all, I was like one of those kids that was teased or bullied in school the whole time. So it was really hard. And when I would make a friend, my mother said that I was so excited I'd cling too closely and scare people off. And I thought, wow, that's so weird. But I know what she means now. And it took me a long time before I was never taught how to be a friend, but just to learn, kind of learn by doing, I guess, you know. And I wanted to be the popular girl, and I wanted to have tons of friends. But now I'm much happier with this small group of friends because they're all meaningful. You know, with COVID, I was thinking, I wonder if people were freaking out because the only way they associated with these friends was maybe they met at the bars, or maybe they only did one thing together and they didn't actually talk with each other. Because if they did, they could still stay in touch by phone. They could still keep up and try to keep each other's spirits up. And that's what we did, you know? And so now my main goal is friendship is not ask what they can do for me, but what I can do for them. That's what I try to live by the most is what's going on with them and how can I help them. And in the end, people usually end up helping me more than I do, but you know, I try.
Yeah, the idea of giving back is a tough one. Yeah, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Yep. Um, so yeah, I would say my parents taught me how to be a friend when I was little, but more than that, they taught me to be a friend to myself and to be true to myself. Um, which, well, I guess I'm in a funny place with that right now because I'm in a place where I don't have all that many friends. And yeah, so now I'm trying to figure out like how do I get back out there and either reconnect with old friends or make new ones. I kind of went into this place of like I was only going to be friends with people who were spiritual like me, which is good in intention, but not very practical. So yeah, that's why I'm here. Thanks.
Okay. I think for me, it's I didn't. My dad was not so much the kind to sit you and tells you the facts of life, but he would teach by example. So I saw when I compared him with his brother, my uncle. You know, the difference is about being a good dad, a good husband, a good person, a friend from him mostly. He was very modest guy. You know, he didn't. Uh, hunt down many things. He had his work, he comes home and takes care of his family, and that was mostly it. Yeah. All right, let's go a little deeper in that question. Should we learn to be better friends? Question number two. Should we learn to be better friends? And, we have to think about the idea of that there is always room to grow. So should we learn to be better friends and how?
I think we should. I think that this should be a universal thing. I think if it was, people like me and Nancy and everyone here would not be, anyone here who suffered with friendships would not suffer so much with friendships. And we would also see who else is on board with elevating their friendship game. I know I'm open to always growing. I'm constantly working on myself, and I want to be around others that do. So I think that would be a good thing to learn to be better friends. I think that should be like a thing. Maybe it will be.
I'll
I
add brief.
agree.
Oh, go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Nancy.
No, you go, Roberta.
I'll just say briefly that I think we should learn to be better friends. Reason being, if you're thinking about being better to someone else, you're going to be better to yourself, number one, and you live a better life. I mean, if you know how to be something, then like Jill is saying, and other friends are saying here that you want to be surrounded by people like that. When you're in people in the right same mindset, you live a better life. You'll be happier. You have people you can rely on, not picking and choosing. Oh, that's good, and waste 5 years with that friend and go on. So yeah, we should definitely learn to be better friends and be better lives for everybody. Yeah, Nancy, you're
I'm
next.
so sorry. Give me,
Yeah.
you know what? Somebody else go. I have to do something real quick. I'll be right back.
I'll go. So, um, I think the movie was very very okay. So what I'm trying to say is they compared what being in a healthy environment was, and then if you didn't get the friends, you went for the addictions. And I went to 5 different 12 steps, wrote a book about it and stuff like that, because when like you are in an abusive situation, you really don't know what a friend is. And so this is such a good topic that we learn how to be friends and that we didn't know how to be friends. And that what was it that first touched me where I went, oh my God, I have a friend. And what did I want to do? I really think Jill's right. This is major topic for right now. We all need to learn to be better friends to ourselves and and be better friends to others and allow good friendships into our lives.
Yeah, it is a very deep, topic, and I think it's also very important to learn. Everyone should learn, from childhood to. For us, it's not late to start because it is a two-way road. You cannot be, it's always like both have, like we saw in a clip, and I think that was the main thing. It's a hard work, and it's not one that works hard. There has to be both sides who work very hard, and they know why they're working very hard, because there is a goal to be really good friends, really feel, understand, help each other whenever it's needed, and share excitement and share great things together as well. That is very important, that it's both sides, both are working hard on that.
I agree with much of what's been said. And yeah, I think we could all stand to be better friends, just to increase senses of connection and belonging.
Yeah, I think nobody's perfect, and we all can learn something, even learn how to be a better friend. Why not?
Sorry about that interruption, you guys. The second, okay, in the Bible, Jesus always says the second law. There are two laws that sum up like all of the law, from the Old Testament. And the second one is love your neighbor as yourself. And I think that that's like really important, because I think too many of the times we think, oh, well, I have a friend, what will they do for me? When in reality, we should be thinking about what we can do for them if we didn't put ourselves on so much of a pedestal, and that's kind of what I think about. I'm sorry, what was the question again? I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Should we
Someone
learn
tell
to
me.
be better friends?
Oh, thank you, Bruno. Yeah, we should. And you know what? It's an ongoing process, because it's too easy to let yourself get in the way, and but if you stop, you know what, it's got a lot to do with respecting other people. So, and expecting, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And yes, I think there's great ways to learn how to be better friends. And it's got a lot to do with loyalty and respect and care, and definitely.
I could add something just quick if it's okay. I think if we all learn to be better friends, the world would be a much different place. Because it just made me think of what Nancy said, and everybody would be treating everybody much differently, that's for sure.
That's a great vision, that's for sure. We're all, friends. Doesn't matter if we know each other for a long time or we just met, you feel that we are connected. Awesome.
There's definitely a lot of truth in that. One thing you have to remember also, it's a two-way street. The same way we enjoy, we can tell when someone is a good friend or not, the same way you can be for someone else. Because, you are part of someone's environment. And if you are, a ray of sunshine and you help them feel better when they are down, then, you brighten their lives. and it always comes back to you. So it's imagine right now this world is literally a war zone. You're always walking on eggshells. You don't know where the next blow is going to come from. So we always have some kind of reserve when we meet new people. But it doesn't have to be that way. One thing happens, everyone is afraid of putting themselves out there, afraid of being hurt. But if we all took more chances and try to be good toward others, then the entire landscape of the world would be different.
And I think what Nancy said, love your neighbor as yourself. Not too many of us are really knowing how to love ourselves. That's huge. That's a huge big thing. The more we learn to love and accept, and I even remember saying, well, I feel like you love me to someone, but the fact that you accept me, there's all sorts of friendship stuff that's really cool. So, yeah, baby steps, but lots of baby steps.
Okay. Maybe we'll go on to the next question. Should we teach our children how to be a good friend? And how could we do that? How could we teach our children to be a good friend?
I guess
Well,
by example,
oh,
I don't have children, sorry, go ahead. By example, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, you can go.
That's all I had to say, Jill.
Oh, I'm so
By
sorry.
example.
I'm
I
sorry.
don't have I said I don't have children, but if I did, it would be by example. Go ahead. You next.
I do have a child, and it's interesting you ask this question because she's also very selective with friendships. Very selective with friendships. I don't have kids running in, and I say you don't want to have kids over sleepover, so I've stopped asking questions like that and just getting to know her as a person. And she does have plenty of friends at school, but doesn't want to really bring them around. So I would say modeling it. But I mean, I have some friendships, but I don't have a ton. But she has seen me be very respectful towards people, and she's also seen the boundaries that I've set by not allowing toxic relationships in my life. No children should have to be around any of that anyway. That's part of the reason for my healing. So I think just modeling the behavior for kids is the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And jealous that some of you had a great example of parents. My parents were great, but they didn't have many friends, and some friends moved away. So it wasn't like I grew up and I saw them, being together a lot. So for children, parents' example is in brothers and sisters as well, of course. But also, I think this is a subject that needs to be, like it has to be taught how to relate to each other, how to know each other, what to expect. And it's the whole thing that, from the early childhood, I think that has to be a subject. The same like math and physics and in a or writing and singing, that is something very obviously needs to be taught.
I think there's a lot of things about, I don't have kids either, so I'm only speaking from opinion without experience. The only experience I have with kids is I did kind of help raise two children, kind of sort of friends of mine and their kids. And the one thing I think that I don't understand why it isn't done is it doesn't seem to me like parents are working very hard today to instill values in their kids, like to make good citizens. It seems like the parents themselves don't try to be good citizens, so then the kids don't. And I'm not saying all at all. I'm just saying some of them don't get taught much. I mean, these poor kids that are either their families of the gangs in the cities, or they weren't raised to learn about how to be a citizen in this world. And a biggest part about that is being friends and helping other people. And I don't get the sense that kids are taught those ways, that they are taught those kinds of values much. And that to me, I think is most important thing is you got to instill values. And you're right, you have to show those values. You can't just say them and then not do them. I think that's how kids learn more than anything. And again, I'm not a parent. That's kind of just my observation.
I will add quickly because now I'm speaking from like in theory because my daughter is grown up now, and I really, although I do have friends but it's something that I feel that I missed a lot in talking about it and explaining that it needs to be done, not just them being around.
Well, I raised all boys, and the biggest thing I remember telling them is you are seen as the people you hang out with. If you hang out with some hoodlums, people are going to think you're a hoodlum. So I tried to teach them not to. I know they did anyway, but what are you going to do? They were teenagers, but they're grown now and they've all turned out wonderful anyway.
Well, I too never had children, but I did see something, a comedy lady on Netflix. She was a stand-up, uh, and I watched it last night, so it's coming around. She says, "Well, baby number one, we were organic and juicing and stuff, and she was doing it, and then she says, and by baby number three, well, she just got McDonald's and we let her gum it down, because, so I think there's a lot of exhaustion that takes place in parenting. And so, boy, I take my hats off to mamas and daddies. I don't know how you do it.
You make a good point there, Susie, though, that it used to be that moms were home with these kids and they saw what they did all the time and they knew what they had to teach and they understood and they learned. And now I don't think people have the energy anymore because everybody has to work. The jobs take up so much out of them. And I'm afraid maybe there's just only so much left for the kids at the end of the day. And it's really a shame that it's like that. I don't think there's as much ability to help kids. It's like a second job. You're already wiped out from the first job, and yet it's the most important job. It's kind of a shame that that happens.
That's funny when Nancy was saying that. It reminds me of my childhood. My mom was used to go to work, but we had a family of lots of uncles and aunts. They were, like barely above teenagers, some of them. So, they always had them around all day long, and when I was at home. So it's a tough thing, yeah, the modern life. I think I was seeing the example of my wife with the kids in school. She's a teacher, young age, and yeah, it's a struggle, but it's a constant thing because you have to adapt to the new realities of modern life. Kids walk around with a phone, and half of their life is spent on that screen only.
I just got to say, I can't even imagine being a parent today with all of the new stuff. I mean, I remember when I was a kid and life was just so much simpler, even though I'm sure at the time we said the same thing, right? Our parents probably said, life used to be so much simpler. Well, now it seems even more complicated. There is so much more they have to deal with. And I don't know how any of you parents do it. I really don't. It's like Susie says, my hat's off to you.
Yeah, you were muted.
Yeah, I definitely agree that we should be teaching our kids how to be good friends. And I think as far as how to do it, it's like just keeping an open dialogue around how to be a good friend is important. Just like knowing, teaching your kids that it's an open subject, they can talk to you about it any time, and to keep the conversation going, right? Like to talk to our kids regularly about it, as well as by example. I agree with that.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. Kind of moved it from a different spot. Why isn't friendship discussed or a prominent topic in society today? Why isn't friendship discussed or a prominent topic in society today? You
I,
know, think
oh,
about the clip. You were starting with that.
I'm sorry. It's not discussed because a lot of people think that friendships are just kind of a given. I read an article, or not a given, but I read an article recently where it said that friendships are a little bit odd because they're not like other relationships. And I could certainly attest to that. It's a little nebulous. Like they're not like I'm so used to like having a boyfriend or a husband, and friendships are completely different. There's no there's it's just weird. It's a little weird for me. So I think people don't discuss it because of that.
Yeah, and remember, I think it was last week or a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the robots and AI. And I believe that the negative agenda is to keep us from being friendship, to keep us from, all the internet and stay on the phone all the time and all that. We've talked about that a lot. But there's something where stopping and having a conversation with someone, it's people don't do it anymore, and the same thing about the time. People are job, job, job. I don't have time for friends, but I think it's really important that we really take time to learn to resonate with people, even if it's just a little bit, something to where you're not just like becoming part of the robot.
Yeah, just to add to that, it was so true because we think friend like one person, like friendship, best friend and all that. But I think, like you're saying about the dark state or whatever, doesn't want us to really connect as, communities and stuff like that. A friendship, just like years ago, when I say thousands of years ago or whatever, we were in a tribe. So my friend was really my tribe mate, technically, and we had an environment together where we worked and helped each other, community. Not, it all falls in that friendship thing. And I think people don't talk about it today because another thing, it's almost like a weakness. If you say you're vulnerable, everything that comes with a friendship, people don't discuss it because they feel that maybe you'd be judged, or it's like Jill and other friends are saying that it's you might look like you're weak or something, and people might judge you, and people don't like that. So and it brings back too much of community, and then what happens to yourself considering less like all things online is what can I get bigger, better, this and that. You don't want to look like weaker and so there's a lot to this question. It's a good topic.
It's a really great topic, and I'm thinking about, first of all, I think that the friendship is considered something natural. You have people around, you have, so you meet somebody you like, then you get along, and then it grows, or it falls apart, and everything is okay. But what I'm thinking, with all this great discussion, maybe we should get together again, and write a curriculum on and start this, how it has to be taught, because nobody approaches this topic. This is like, you breathe nobody teach you how to inhale, and it's, although there are courses, yeah, of course, but they're very rare, so it's just something that needs to be taught. Let's do it. Let's write a curriculum and we'll spread it around, and we can start with whatever grade age we feel comfortable with.
Well, I agree that it's a, sort of a taboo topic. And yeah, people don't want to get vulnerable and discuss it and maybe possibly reveal some of their like insecurities or places where they feel they might be lacking. And also, I think it's not a major topic of discussion because it's friendship doesn't make money. I think a lot of things are more popular if they have to do with money. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on this question. Thanks for the great question.
I wonder if it's got something to do with being afraid to be vulnerable. Because the minute you admit that you care about a friend or need a friend or want a friend, that sounds like you're lacking something, and people are afraid to say, even though you're not, because we are meant to be with others. We are not meant to be all alone. So that's obvious. But I just wonder if maybe that might be a part of what, at least, especially with men, I think women are probably a little easier at dealing with that. Um, but that, I don't know, but I just wonder about that if you admit you want to make new friends or more friends, people might look at you like, "Oh, really? What's wrong with you?" It's kind of funny like that.
That's a good point, Nancy. And also, I think it's our ego, because gimme, gimme, gimme doesn't allow for friends. It doesn't allow for giving, giving, giving. It's all gimme, gimme, gimme. So between the two things, I think that's the problem.
Yeah, and especially, in this gimme attitude you take from others. Those might be the ones that could become a friend. And you crush that opportunity. But one thing that is even beyond that, the harsh reality is that it's one of the hardest things in the world because, you know, the interaction that we have by default with another person is antagonistic. We are in a competitive society, and it's teaching everything from childhood. You are in a competition. You have, athletics is a competition. You're in school. You have grades that compares you with someone else, and so on and so on and so forth. We teach each other to become individual, like separated from the rest. So where does the friendship fit in that? We don't even have like it's very rare to have ethics taught in something other than a specific profession because it's just teaching you how to stay out of trouble, not how to be a good, member of society. We are not teaching each individual to integrate in society in a positive way. We're teaching them how to take from it. And there lies the problem.
Yeah, it's obvious that it has to be a prominent topic in the society because, it's like treating not a real cause of disease, but some symptoms. Like we know that there such an addiction among young people, with all different drugs and all different things that they are doing. This is really, but this is all a result, and of the And we know that people are lonely, especially young people, you know, which is so strange. The young people, well, my generation usually were all together. So these are all results of the disease, which is not knowing how to be friends. What does it mean to be friends? Like what we just saw in a clip, you know, that what the experiment with rats, it's exactly what happens in our society.
I think that leads us to the final question here. We learned that in a rewarding environment help rats overcome addiction because they didn't need it. They had their society. So, what makes an environment a powerful catalyst to a good life?
A stress-free environment is the best. It is the antidote to a stressful life. I speak from experience. Eliminate as many distractions. I work from home too, so I'm also a stay-at-home mom. When my daughter is home from school, she's with me all the time. So you mentioned that before, Nancy. I agree with you. A lot of people are not spending as much time with them as possible. I don't know how I got off the topic, but oh yeah, the environment. Oh, all right. Yeah, I had to get rid of a lot of toxic people, bottom line, but I also had to work on myself, boundaries, learning really how to love myself, undoing a lot of the damage, things like therapy, journaling, a lot of stuff. So I just think that you need to be in a good environment. You cannot heal in the place that you are hurting. So whatever that means to anyone, to me, I had to get rid of what was hurting me and make a fresh start. But it does make a good life. I'm happier than I've ever been.
I say isolation is absolutely horrible for people. And I'm an only child, I don't have a whole lot of family. And being an introvert with not too many friends, there were times when I really didn't have anyone I could go to. That is the worst for anybody. And I'm not surprised that people can get addicted to drinking or drugs or something, because when you're isolated all by yourself, first of all, your imagination goes wild and you can imagine the absolute worst possible things. And it's just, I think that that's what happens. I think that these addictions take the place of true friendships that would be so much more fulfilling, but people don't get them or they're afraid to get them. I mean, can you imagine being an adult and meeting someone that by chance in a grocery store or something and saying, "Hey, you want to be friends?" People don't do that. People would probably turn around and go, "You're weird." As kids, we used to do that. We'd say, "Can we be friends?" And that was okay. But I don't think we do that anymore. People are so afraid. And in the meantime, people are isolated and don't have anyone to turn, especially if you don't have family. The only ones who really can do it are ones with family they can turn to. But if you don't have that, you got to work a lot harder to make friends so you have some kind of a family of your own.
We've
All
got
right.
I'm just going to say we've got about 1 minute. So if anybody has any last
Kind of
words,
like that. Yeah.
make it quick.
Make it the blitz round.
Blitz round, I think the environment, if you find friends or people, let's say, that have the same goal as you, whether it's improving yourself or doing other things that you like, sports or whatnot, spirituality, whatever, open diner. Uh, when you meet other people with the same goal in the environment, then you could start making friends. It wouldn't be so weird, Nancy. Some lady online say, "Hey, you want to be my friend?" Or if I turned to you now and said, "Hey, Nancy, we speak stuff in common at open diner. Would you want to chat?" So the environment is so important with the same goal.
Yeah, we also have to think of an environment as a place in which we can find others we can give to. Because this practice of having good friends and being good friends to someone else is the both sides of being healthy.
Yeah, and I'm going to be a little extra vulnerable right now. Where is it in my life that I could reach out and be with a human person as more of a friendship thing? Or, like, I mean, I actually caught myself a couple of times. Somebody was over and they were wanting to play music with me, and I was doing something on the internet, and I kind of wanted them to go away so I could continue the internet. And I thought, wait a minute, this is a real human that loves me, and we're playing music. So I had to, there is an addiction that's happening to humanity to not have us be friends, to have us all on our computers and our phones all the time. And so it behooves us all to find those little areas where, oh, maybe I could be doing better, a little better being a friend.
All right, I think we are out of time. Let's do a quick one of impressions. Because this topic we might continue it next week, I think, maybe, maybe not. But a quick one of impressions on what we spoke about tonight. How did it affect you?
Well, personally, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic because this subject is certainly not spoken about enough, and I'm definitely going to be back. I learned a lot.
It is incredibly and how deep the discussion went. And now, although my daughter grown up and she's very lonely, I decided that I will talk to her. What does it mean to be a friend? It's never late, to talk to your children about this. Never late.
I'd also like to say that both Jill and Raya, that rhymes with papaya, I got papayas right out here. You guys added a lot today. There was just such a good, I think you're really into our friends. We're friends at Open Diner. Please come back. Beautiful.
I agree. It was great having you both with us. You gave so much. You really contributed to our conversation.
And I'll add that I got out of this evening that, even though people join some weeks and other times people come often, like Susie, Nancy, other friends, that doesn't matter who you are. If we have something where, like you're saying, about improving yourself or living a better life, there are people out there. We just have to find the right places to find them. And like you're saying, open dine, I see everybody's very nice and kind and a good conversation. We went deep into a lot of stuff. It was nice. Thank you.
I think the best part, sorry, Nancy, just a second. The best part that we're not afraid to be vulnerable, that we are not afraid to open up. That is the best.
Yeah, and who said work? It takes to work at it. I think the video said that. And just think of how many times you could like put the phone down or put the computer down or and say, oh, maybe I'll reach out to this person, just because it is work. They want us to be just hooked up to being addicted AI. So we need to take little steps and say, oh, I want to be a person here. I don't want one of those robots. They're having men, they're replacing men and replacing women. I don't think so.
Okay, a few reminders. There are a few ways to keep in touch with us at Open Diner. Hate to say it, but we're at the end here and can't wait to see you all in 2 weeks. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Nextdoor, Twitter, Pinterest. If you prefer, you can subscribe to our email list for a bi-weekly notification about our events, and your email is never shared with a third party. Some of our old events are on YouTube if you want to watch and share. Please invite your friends to join us too. And links are right in the chat. And thank you again for coming. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And as of right now, we see our next topic is Lonely No More.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Oh, I love this song.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, your love life's the old way. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, your year.